Let's do a start, okay? So let me just share my screen, and then I will, hopefully you all see my screen. Okay. So that you know, we're recording this session. I'm sure we'll use this for future reference. So hopefully you don't mind, okay? Okay, so this is the session to review what we've done during the sprint 2. Okay, so just let me quickly go through the post. So what we're going to review today is basically, as I said, the work that the team has completed during the last few weeks, 3 weeks and a half. And basically providing a demo of the content and functionality that was done. A main outcome we want to get from this session is to get feedback from you guys, and well, probably any ideas or builds for future functionality or user stories. Okay, so we'll go through a number of slides, mainly around sharing the high-level scope. Key impediments we've had during the last few weeks in Sprint 2, demo of the functionality. We'll go through a high-level overview of what we're going to do during the Sprint 3, and we'll also cover next steps in terms of what are we going to do in the following months. Okay. So yeah, so in relation with high-level scope, I'll give over to Colin to explain this. Okay, Colin?
Okay, fantastic, yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do is just go through each of the epics here and talk about what was included and what hasn't been included. And to bring this to life, as soon as we're done, we'll jump into the system and have like a hands-on session. And after today, we'll send out a script so that you can perform testing in a similar way that you did for the volume planning. Okay, so the content that was proposed for this epic volume planning is the Planet Brand Pack with SKU level exceptions. This planning aligned with sales and OpEx guidance by using planning accounts versus sold to, and to have this integrated real time in the P&L. The aspect of this that we did not deliver and that will be part of our build for Sprint 3 will be the SKU level exceptions process. And there is some discussion in the background concerning what the Europe team wants to see with this. So again, this will be part of our Sprint 3 delivery. For the customer spend planning, our goal was to enable the capture of contractual trade terms at GL and planning accounts, enable the capture of promotional activity at GL planning accounts, and then also integrate this real time with the P&L. What we are still missing is the customer A&P mapping from spend types to GL before this will be completely tied out, okay? But what we're going to present you is with a functioning model for certain types for most GLs, okay? For the profit and loss, we're going to create a P&L for volume planning and for spend planning, like we've done, visible in both the volume and spending screens, and we'll have comparisons versus last year. The aspect that we're missing on this to complete the full testing is actual data. We have input some data so you can see values, but the numbers will look a little strange to you, as you'll see in just a second. But it allowed us to at least validate the calculations going on. Another piece of this, the finance org data, we intended to deliver country-level hierarchy reflecting management structures. And there is some change here. So the intention behind this was to have the full Europe structure, meaning like a 2B hierarchy for all of Europe. What we've included so far is just the relevant hierarchies for Benelux, Belgium, European partner markets, which is ongoing. That current hierarchy is still being discussed, but and Nordics. So you'll see that hierarchy, and there is still some discussion in the background around this structure. Okay. List price, create lists to include VAT, secondary freight, and duty conditions. Those have been included, and adherence to the Euro mins. Secondary freight data is still being acquired, and our loading of Euro mins has yet to occur because of the file formats and the level that we've received that, but we're working on getting that into the system. Okay. Okay, Javier, I think we could proceed to the next slide. Okay. Some around the impediments here is that we have somewhat of a lack of detailed knowledge by project team required for specific topics, kind of leading to a loss of time during the sprint. So we try to get answers to as many questions that we can. Obviously, we get different answers from different SMEs, and this has slowed us down a little bit for Sprint 2, but we've proceeded with the assumptions that we had going into the sprint. So what you'll see is kind of our most, our latest understanding of the requirements and the levels. This had led to a little bit of a few challenges around data and scope, meaning that we struggled with aligning customer hierarchies, okay, and some of the changing requirements. And this doesn't mean, this isn't necessarily from SMEs, but there's certainly a difference between the SME expectation and some of the requirements that are coming out from the total Europe group. What we're trying to do as a project is align those requirements, right, and get them into a good place, into a solution that works for everyone. So this has been certainly the most challenging sprint that we've had so far, and these conversations are ongoing. So the next step here would be to finalize the customer hierarchy in SAP and having markets complete all of the templates for trade terms and pricing at GL and planning account levels. Okay.
So, Colin, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you as presenter.
Okay.
So that we can share your screen, yeah?
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay. I assume that you're able to see at this point.
Yep, I'm able to see it. Yep.
Okay, so what we're going to do is start back in the volume planning screen, because we've been able to deliver some of the functionality that was asked for last week. So as a result of the feedback that we received from the markets, we've built in most of the requests there. So I want to recover this topic a little bit, okay? The first thing that we've done is simplified this view. So what you're looking at here is a screen that potentially could be used by the Nordics or Benelux, or potentially a region that is not using sales out, or that they are not planning sales out, okay? All those line items still exist in the background, and we will use them and create special views for European partner markets. But this particular screen is a simplified version, so I could show you what it could potentially look like. We've taken out the actual line item, and so actuals are incorporated into two lines. They're now incorporated into your R&O, and they're now incorporated into your sales in baseline. We've also renamed these line items, so hopefully they're a little more simple to understand here, okay? So what we have now, this is, again, a sample of R&O planning. Right now you have actuals from July to October, and now you can see those actuals down here, whereas before you were not able to see that, okay? The functionality is still the same, though. You're going to input in this baseline line item. You're going to have your trade promotions come through to your trade promotion line here as well, which will then feed up to the R&O, okay? So if I come into here and I scroll over now, and I input a value right now for my total year level, it's 50,000. And we also rearranged this screen, right? So before you had quarters and then halves and then the full year at the end. The way it's organized now is you have July through June, and then you have your year totals, so F16 year to go and year to date, and then H1, H2, and then your quarters, and those have borders around them, so that they're a little, hopefully, easier to see. So we'll get some feedback on that here in a second. So if I come into here, and I see that for FY16, my total is 50,000 cases, okay? Let me scroll over so you can see the full screen here, okay? And if I come in here and then put in, raise this up to 60,000 cases, what you'll see is that those 60,000 cases are coming out of the total year to date. So up here I have sold 23,554. That's going to come out of the 60,000. The remainder will be distributed across the months, okay? What this enables you to do is to put in a full year value if you want to adjust your R&O at an annual level while still incorporating your actuals. Okay, then all of that will then feed up to your R&O line item up here. Your final R&O is all of your actuals, and then it'll pull in from your forecast line item down here, which is the sum of your trade promotions and your baseline. Okay, we're going to go over and spend a lot of time on the trade promotions next, but I just want to get some feedback real quick from the group on that functionality. And I know that Audrey, I think you were the one who mentioned this in your feedback. Is this what you were thinking?
Yes, but now the strange thing is that the 4 months that just passed, we will not see the forecast anymore. So the question that I had was fiscal 16 was not. I don't know what is the best, that we keep the forecast in the blue cells in sales in baseline, or if we have it equal to the actuals, because the actuals are already up, a little bit higher in the R&O line. I think the forecast is quite good to keep it so we can see how much we were next week.
Yep. Oh, go ahead.
So I thought that it was good to have it fixed in the sales in baseline, the forecast that the account manager has put in, but that you could just play only with year to go line. The only thing is then that it's not easy to know how much your full year. You cannot change and say I will finish on 60,000 full year, because then you need to calculate it. That's the only
thing, yeah.
Negative thing. But I don't know if other countries are in and can say what they think.
Yeah, essentially you could input at the whole, like you could put in the 60,000 cases and that'll go across year to go, or you could still input on the year to go here and say, okay, I want this like 40,000, right? And then that will obviously increase your total year value there as well. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments on this piece of work? Okay. Okay. In addition to that, we've also added a screen up here which has the conversion factors. We're still trying to finalize the system that this is coming from. So don't be surprised if the numbers might look a little strange. We had to just input some conversion factors to ensure that this was working. Right now, all the volume here is input in EU, and then it's converted to whatever units would be required up here. We're kind of taking it as a note. I know that some markets would like to input in bottles. We do have that functionality in the trade promotion screen, which we'll go over here. But currently in the volume planning screen, if you want to get to a certain bottle number, you would input in EU, and then it would convert there until you hit the number that would be required. Okay. Back to Audrey's comment too, just to be clear here, what we have is some versions here. So every time that we advance to the next month, we hold the current plan in a last month version. So as soon as that plan is finalized for the current month and we roll the model over to the next month, what we do is we take that plan, we put it to a specific version, and it gets held there for a month. So if you want to reference back to your to last month's plan, last month's R&O, last month's actuals, that will be held in that version, and you can export that to Excel, or you can store it just in Anaplan, but it's there for reference if you need it. Okay, so that any kind of change to the plan, anything like that, is frozen. Okay. Also, the same thing with the AOP here. Now, this is an AOP rebase version, but you can also have a reference to the actual AOP that will be populated here when you're actually doing your planning. Okay, so all of this data will be populated, but it'll also be held as a version here as well. Okay. 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 If there aren't any more questions on this, what we can do, because this is a review, we'll jump over to the promotion screen here, and we'll start to walk through this. Okay. And I'd really like as much feedback on this as possible as we're going through it, because I know for some of you it will be the first time looking at it. And in addition, we've been making a lot of rapid changes to it. So since you were last in it, it's going to look a little different than when you did your testing. But I'd like to kind of go over that testing, because it seems like there were a few questions on it. Okay. So typically, once you've finished your volume planning, you would jump over and want to create promotions. Okay. So this is what the promotion screen looks like. In addition, we also have our trade terms as well. So let me just open up one of those. Okay, there we go. So the two screens are quite similar here, as you can see. Obviously, the trade terms are going to form more of the baseline. So when you create a trade term for a certain product and customer combination, right, those terms will go against all of the volume that you've input back in your volume planning screen for your baseline. Okay, so baseline will go to your trade terms, and then all of the promotional volume that you create will also be in the volume planning screen, but obviously it won't take the trade term. It'll take whatever terms that you set up for the promotion itself. Okay, so back here, I have a very similar layout here. I have all my customer group selection, okay? And then I also have my product level here, and I have a time selector, and all of that syncs together with the P&L here. So I see my current R&O, I see what that is versus my AOP, and then versus last year. And again, we're just waiting on getting our data working for last year's to flow through to the P&L. Okay. So what I will do when I drop down here, this is where I'm going to be inserting my promotions, and I see a similar drop down to what I have before. And in this particular example, I would go in and create a promotion in Benelux. And I'm going to use this customer because we've been able to load actuals for it, and it has good data. So I could come down here, and I would just select that customer, okay? And then what I'll do is just go ahead and create this particular promotion. I would just need to scroll down and identify the customer that I want to create this particular promotion for. I'll just select it here, then move it over, and I'll just select OK. And what that does is now in just a second, what I'll see is a screen down there that has a lot of red lines on it. Okay. What is populated in red is a field that needs to be, it's going to need to take an input, so that means that the user is going to fill out each one of these lines. A few of them are already populated, so we have an account manager because that is based on the customer that was selected up top, right? It's automatically populated. And we will do that wherever possible. So, for example, with the GLs, you'll see in just a second that will be automatically populated. Okay. So what I'll do is just come in here and give let's call it growth driver. We'll create a name for this particular activity here, and then we'll identify a type. So we'll just say that this is a commercial discount, let's say. And then we'll identify if this is an on-invoice or an off-invoice promotion here. Just say it's on-invoice. Okay. And what we see is based on that, it's pulled in a GL for us based on the mapping that we have behind the scenes. And again, we can't quite tie this user story out because we don't have all the mappings finalized yet. Okay. This is an optional step. I can identify if this is for a particular event for what we're calling program planning. It may not be necessary for your group or not. And then we need to identify a from and a to date. So let's just say that we'll go into February. We'll select February 1st here. Okay. And then we'll identify an end date. Okay. And I'll scroll over and select the 29th. Okay, 2016. And it's just checking for validity there. So there are validity checks going on in the background to make sure that the user hasn't made a mistake, and that if there is a mistake, then it's flagged for the user. So, for example, if their to date is before their from date, obviously that's a problem for the calculation logic. So we go ahead and flag that for the user. Okay.
Sorry, Colin. Sorry, I have a question. This is Javier. The date format that we have at the moment is the US format, yeah?
It is.
Yep. Yeah. So that's based on your browser settings. So,
okay.
Yep.
Okay, so that automatically takes the browser settings you have.
Yep, and if there's any issues with that, we can look into it as well. But for the most part, that works for everyone based on their browser setup.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Good. And then in this next step, I would go ahead and select the IO code from the list we have here. Okay, just select the first one there. The invoice number will be a manual input, so you can enter that, but there isn't a validity check against it. Okay. Okay, and now we get down to more of the crux here. So we have a few items which the Europe team has defined as mechanics. Before we were calling these unit types. Okay. From this drop-down list, you will have a few options here. We have per bottle, per case, per EU, percent of GSV, percent of NIT, and we have lump sum. Okay. And again, this demonstration is just meant to be an intro. We don't have enough time to go through each one of these. But they will be in the script that we send out tomorrow for you. Okay. So in this case, what I will do is just go ahead and select per bottle, something different than per EU. Okay. And then what automatically happens is another red arrow appears here because it needs me to put some volume against this particular promotion. Okay. Because I've selected per bottle. So what I'll do is just go in here and I'll just throw in 1,000 bottles here, okay? In this final few steps, I just need to determine if it's sales in or sales out, and I'll just go ahead and identify this as a sales in, okay? And I will say that this is, I want to include this back in my volume planning screen like we went through before, okay? So essentially now what I've done is I have created a promotion. I've input all the fields that I need to, and there are no more validity errors. So this particular promotion is ready to continue, okay? So in the next step, what I need to do is select what products that this activity will go against, okay? So what I can do then is I just select this button here. And now I have quite a large list, right, here. So the search feature is kind of nice. What I can do is just come into here and enter in, turn off. And what will happen is that I will be able to see all of my Smirnoff products, okay? So what I'll do is just go ahead and select this particular size. I will move it over and just hit OK. And what that does now is it's going to take those 1,000 bottles for this particular customer and for this Smirnoff Red product, and it's going to allocate it, okay? And to do that, I just need to do one more step here where I actually allocate that volume down to the lower level. So because we're inputting this at the brand pack, we need to push it down to what we're calling P7 or the SKU level, okay? So what I'll do is just go ahead and say run that process, and that volume will get pushed down here, okay? Okay, so I will go ahead and close this. Now what we have on the right is a review screen for this particular promotion, and what I can do is find the promotion that I ran here, and if I scroll down, there we go, okay. Growth driver, yeah, there we go. So now I can see my promotion in there, and if I scroll over, what I see are my 11.11 EU that I input as a bottle back in my promotion here. Okay. So what I've done is kind of stepped through one example here. Okay. And really what we would want to do is go through each one of these, but perhaps I'll do one more, but do we have any questions first about this, about kind of the layout, the feel of it? Greg and I discussed this quite a bit, and along with Steve, and what we landed on was this kind of format. The format that we had before was where everything was moving from left to right. Okay, so that you would essentially come in here and see all of your promotions at once and input all of them at once. And we thought that was a lot of scrolling from left to right, so we kind of reformatted this vertically. We can do it in different ways, though. So I would just like to get some feedback on the format here in terms of kind of flowing from the top down, creating promotions, kind of where the buttons are, and the general layout of this screen. So I'll go ahead and pause here. If countries could go ahead and comment on that, that would be great. Yep. Maybe I could just have Audrey comment first.
This seems quite logic for me. The only thing is that personally I know more the GL code than the trade term name. So I don't know if I type in the GL code, would it only give the possibility of that GL code upstairs? It's just a question. It's not we can have just a one-pager next to our desk or for the account managers, but just to know, to be sure.
Okay. Do you mean to validate or to actually input the GL and then have the sorry if I scroll up, then have the activity type populate up top? Is that what you mean? Yeah. It's kind of like the inverse of what we've done? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. Some countries will probably know better the activity type. For me personally, okay. I know better the GL account number and the EU code, but it's just a question. I suppose if I have a one-pager, and normally those should be inputted once for the whole year, for the biggest one. So I think it's not an issue, but there's just a question if we put the GL code, if we just receive the possibilities of that activity type that are linked to that GL.
So we have that mapped in the system, so also, depending on how we want to do that, we can expose that and have a button that would take you to show you that mapping and be able to see the GLs that map to the activity type. I think that's good feedback, though.
Very good. And ideally, we could hold that page in Anaplan so you wouldn't have to bring it up somewhere else. But, yeah. Okay. It sounded like you had another comment there.
No, and then just I don't really understand for the moment why you just need to do the select products and the allocate promotion to P7. Is it just Anaplan procedure or?
Yeah. So essentially, what's happening is if you wanted to have a promotion go across multiple P6s, you would have the functionality to do that. And then from an efficiency standpoint, what it's doing is it's actually taking that number and pushing it down from the P6 level to the lower P7 level for that specific promotion.
Yeah. We also have different conditions down that are being held at the what we're calling P7, the SKU level, like all of our pricing and things like that. So we can't keep that volume at that higher level. We have to get it down to that lower level so that we can run all of our calculations in order for it to feed the P&L.
What would happen if, for me, the biggest or the most important example is to take, not for Belgium, not really bottles, but for example, taking mechanic, GSV or NIT, a percentage, and on all the products. Then I suppose you will need to push the button on the right, but it will always, when the turnover increases, it will accrue more, or it will calculate more trade spend, I suppose. So, for example, if we put percentage of GSV or percentage of NIT, one of the two, in this one, and we would say 5% or 10%, doesn't matter, and we do it on all the products of that customer. If we then increase it in the volume planning, the volume, I suppose every time it will increase the trade spend for all the brands.
So, yeah, but I don't think currently you wouldn't be able to do that, right? Because the way that we have it set up is that the products would allocate at the P6 level, so you would have to go through here. I don't know if there's an easy way to do that, Greg, but you just select all of them? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so Audrey, I'm making a note of that. If that is a requirement from the other countries, I think that'd be good to know if you would want to apply something, an NIT change to all products. Okay.
I think that's, or maybe I didn't express myself well, but that's one of the most common trade terms in the Benelux. You have on a contract 5% on GSV or NIT as a condition. So, and you want to have it in all your products. How would you need to input it in this screen? That's my question. On all the products.
So, would you? Yeah. So, what we would want to do is, so I'm doing promotions at the moment, but if you
the promotion, it's not it was on the total volume. I thought you said in the beginning.
Oh, so trade terms are on total volume. The promotion is on a select.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
No problem.
But trade terms are then. Sorry.
Yeah. I was getting a little confused there myself. So the trade term is because if we look here, we have a volume input for the promotion, but on the trade term there will not be a volume input.
Yeah, so
yep. Yeah, exactly.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Colin,
okay.
It's Wayne.
Hey, Wayne.
Once you've completed any given period, is it possible just to replicate that detail in another period, just by some kind of copy functionality, or would you have to continually select the brands?
No, absolutely not. So you do have a copy functionality, and you would do that here. So you would essentially go to your activity that you would create. You would copy this particular promotion. You would want to do that just by scrolling down here. You would then select it and then move it over. And then you could go ahead and make any tweaks that you needed to. So you could change the date. You could change, you can change whatever you want. I would assume that most of the inputs would be the same, but outside of the date or the type. And you can do that as many times as you like. You could just go ahead and copy those. This does kind of get to the format, though, because if we present you with all of your activities at once, you would be able to copy them. You do like a bulk copy in that situation, so you could highlight like 5 or 6 activities, and then you could copy 5, which maybe that would be good to understand if you encounter those situations a lot, or if you're, for the most part, only copying single activities. Good. It's a good question, Wayne. Could we go to one of the next countries? I think Germany. Dan, are you on the line?
It's Wilfred instead.
Oh, great. Okay. Any feedback?
Well, yes, just a positive one. The layout is brilliant now. The vertical order feels much better.
Okay.
Regarding always feedback before, if in case it would be possible to enter GL, I hope it's also possible to block it somehow. I'm not sure if it would feel so well if our sales colleagues would be capable of changing the GL.
Okay. Yeah. Is that something that you would want all? I mean, I think part of our struggle is if you want it sometimes but not all the time. Is this something that you would want to hide all the time, or is this something that for some of the managers they actually need it?
I can't think of any possibility where one of the sales managers would need it, essentially.
Okay.
But there's no need to hide, but just to block it. If they choose financial discount, then always the same GL appears. We have had some problems with this in TM1, that some things have been entered on multiple GLs, and then we had it twice or three times. And
okay.
But
gotcha.
The rest looks perfectly fine for me.
Okay.
So essentially the way it works right now is you pick your type, and that's what drives your GL. So you're not able to change that GL. It's all determined based on a mapping in the background. So the current functionality would not allow for any changing, like the issues you had in TM1.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, because I brought up this example, would there be any sort of warning if or would they notice it if they insert something twice? If two different levels are on two.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So basically, if you copied a promotion and you had two of the same promotions.
Yes. It sounds maybe a bit silly, but it was something that happened pretty often.
Yeah. So essentially, how do you guys check that today? Are you able to look at your customer promotional volume and dollar impact and see what that actually means, and you can see all skewed values? How do you typically see that now?
The things what we did in TM1, because originally it was like this, that they could insert it completely on their own, but in the meantime we kind of forced them with an insert mask, so they only can plan, for example, at their L2 customers, but before it happened frequently that they plan something at L1, but again at L3, and that most of the choosing opportunities are blocked. In the meantime, yes, this helped quite a lot.
One user story that we'll have for Sprint 3 is a plan approval process. Okay, so that means that nothing is finalized until a manager has gone into the system and reviewed it, and there's a record of that review. So I would hope that process would catch these mistakes that occur, but I can't think of anything that we could build, unless you could think of a logic behind the scenes that we could use to identify potential errors. So, for example, if there is an identical promotion, we could create a logic to identify that. But if there is a difference, I think it would be rather difficult to understand when there's a valid promotion versus a non-valid promotion without having a manager go in there and identify which is which.
Yes, I understand. And another thing what helped quite a lot in TM1 to this prospect was that we built an overview for each customer where they could see what everything was inserted. And as soon, because TM1 did not have this initially, but when we built it and they could see what everything is inserted, it helped some sort of.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah, that is one of the things we will be building in the next sprint is a review screen where you don't see each individual activity, but you'll see them all. And then what we can do is filter those by any of the conditions that you see on this list. So, for example, if you have identified up here, and this is still not solidified, it is something that came very late, but if you wanted to see...
Pretty good, by the way, this program.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, I think this will help a lot. Sorry.
Okay. It's good to hear. So what we could do is filter on all of those promotions that have been tagged as Christmas, and so you could see all of those promotions as a group, and then look at their impact as a whole. Okay. Just real quick, you said that this is something that you would use. Would you be able to provide us with potentially a list of the types of programs that you would want active in this screen? Because I think that's one of the things that Steve was looking for.
I could possibly do, but as I will be off from tomorrow, and I hope January would be still fine.
Sure. Yeah. It's going to be part of Sprint 3. So.
Okay.
But yeah, just kind of keep that in mind. Okay. Great. Great. Okay. I'm not sure who else we have. Is Iberia on the line?
I'm afraid they're not, Colleen.
They're not? Okay. I know that our attendance is a little light.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, great. So I've gotten through one. I just want to do one more together as a group, and then again, I'll be putting together the documentation for this. Okay. So let's say I wanted to go ahead and create a different type of promotion here. Okay, I've just done one of them. I did a per bottle and input 1,000. But let's say I want to do a very different type of promotion. So I could come back into here for the same customer. I'll go ahead and select it and move it over. And hit OK. That will create that particular activity. And again, it's all red at this point. I'll go ahead and come in and I'll go ahead and enter a name too. OK. And then I'll just go ahead and fill these fields out quickly. Okay. Just get down to the lower part. And what I'll do for the month, I'll go ahead and move this one to February here to make it a little easier for me to see the differences. When you're testing, it's a good idea to pick obviously different months for each promotion so you can see their impact. It's a little bit more difficult when you put all of your activities into a single month because it's going to sum up those values and make it a little bit more difficult to identify there as you're going through. Yep, let me put that back. Okay. Okay, so I'll just keep going down here. So in this example, I'll perform a slightly different mechanic. I'll go ahead and put in a lump sum. Okay. And as you'll see, all the flags here are formatted on the selection itself. So in this case, I've selected lump sum, and I see that it's telling me that I need to input into two different fields here. I need to input into the lump sum field and the sales in or sales out. It won't really be a complete activity until I've gone through these steps. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and put in a lump sum of 2,000 pounds here, okay? Okay, and then I will identify if this is going to be sales in or sales out, okay? And let's just say sales in, and okay, now what I can do is I will have to go through the same steps here. Now that I've created it, I will assign that particular lump sum to products, okay? So what I'll do is search again. I'll go ahead and put it against the same product that I had identified before. It was the Smirnoff 70 CL. Go. Okay, and I will scroll down here. Okay. So now I have allocated, or I've identified the P6 that I want that to apply to, and I will go ahead and run that. And again, what that is doing is it's going to take that dollar value or that pound value, and it's going to push it down to the lower level. Okay. Okay. And what I can do here is I can always toggle back and forth between volume and dollar impact. Okay. So previously I was looking at my, my volume that I was inputting here, but now I am looking at a dollar impact, okay? And I can see that for this particular activity that I have created down here, I have 2,000 pounds or dollars against that particular activity, okay? So this is obviously an entirely different type of activity that I created. The other one was a rate. This one is a lump sum, okay? Any particular questions on this feature here? It's going to be a little difficult for you guys to test the P&L. I think we're going to have to finish the testing once we have all of our kind of pricing data finalized in order to really review the P&L. But for now, you can at least see the dollar and volume impact on your promotions here. Is this pretty clear to you guys? Audrey, can we go back to you?
Yes, this is clear for me.
Pretty clear? Okay. Great.
Can you just add another pack or pack volume into that promotion, and the lump sum will then be apportioned appropriately?
Exactly. Yep. So if you went back to this step, right, and you could identify 2 different, or now essentially like 3, and then just hit OK, it will apply to to all of the products that you have selected there, and you can do that for the customers as well. So you can bring over additional.
And that $2,000 is allocated down to those multiple products.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. All right. Germany, any other questions on this screen? It's very similar, I know, to the previous one, but just wanted to get any kind of feedback that you have on it.
No questions.
Okay. Good. Okay. So what we could do, it's going a little faster than I anticipated, though. But what we'll do is move into trade terms. Okay.
Small question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
If we have, I know that there is a copy promotion possibility, but if we have again the vouchers in Belux, and we know that we will do a national promotion with for a certain product, a certain amount, can we do once the input and just have a screen where we say how many volume on which customer, or is there a fast way to do it instead of putting it on one customer and then copy it 15 times for the 15 different customers?
Yeah. Okay. So let me understand that a little bit more. So you would want to create a promotion at the national level, and you would want it to allocate down to, let's say there are like 15 customers that you had, and did you want to like manually select what customers get how much of that discount?
Yeah. So the thing would be, the question would be, create once the promotion and the brand and the amount, but then being able to select the 15 customers and say 10,000 on Colruyt, 8,000 on Carrefour, and giving a volume on the 15 different customers, but not needing to copy Colruyt to Carrefour, then change the volume, then Carrefour to another one, and then change the volume, or I don't know if it's possible.
So it's currently not built that way. I think the assumption for this requirement was the majority of our promotions are applied to a planning account. Then you select the products that's relevant for it. Ideally, you could make the system would allow for us to build something that would have the requirement to where you'd pick a product and then you'd apply that to your relevant customers. We just haven't had that as a requirement to build that yet.
It's just that in the Benelux, 80% of the promotions, additional promotion next to the contract, are national promotions, so that is agreed with all the account managers and the whole IMC. So I think it would help quite a lot the possibilities of this system, that even one person is inputting that promotion or those promotions for the year, and that the other ones just need to input volumes.
Sure.
That's why I'm asking this.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
For the additional promotions for off-trade, is this like 80 or 90%?
Okay. So it sounds like there are two things, though. It's the ability to create the promotion at that level, and then on top of that, to select like an allocation for each of those customers, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Guys, hi. Just sorry, it's Tori. I've just joined. Sorry.
Sorry. Hi, Tori.
Hey.
Are you in the WebEx by any chance?
Yes, I am.
Or just getting on? Okay, great. So Audrey, I think what we'll need to do is circle back on that, just because attendance is kind of light on this. I'd like to bring this up at the design forum and understand if the other countries have this kind of requirement. I've just gotten a sense from some of the other countries that the larger regions tend not to make these kind of high-level promotions. In comparison, like a Germany or GB tend not to make high-level changes. So I think we'll want to discuss this a little bit more. Tori, what Audrey was describing just now was an ability to create a promotion at a national level. Instead of what we have built now, where they would actually, if they needed to, they would have to manually go in and create, let's say, 15 different promotions for 15 customers, and essentially copying one to the next, in order to get that promotion across the entire country. And then they would want to go in and actually select the allocation method for that promotion to specific countries. So it's a slightly different requirement. Go ahead.
So I was going to say, but that is quite similar to what we've been talking about, that we clearly missed out of the requirements at the start, which was being able to set up a promotion at a channel level. So my question for you, Audrey, on that one, is it really at a national level or is it a channel level? Because I wouldn't expect you'd run the same promotion across the on and the off trade, would you?
No, correct, but there would be, in Belgium we call, our channels are a bit different than suppose the channels that you mean. We have 11 channels, of which 6 in the off trade and 5 in the on trade, I think, Most of the time, Benelux would be seen as one big region, and in Belgium, a national promotion would be in 3 channels of the 6 existing. So it would be 3 off-trade channels, and not in the 3 on-trade channels. But it would be possible that also an on-trade channel has the same. If we can create it for a channel, that would be already a big step.
Yeah. Okay. So my view is, I think for Belgium it would be Belgium off trade, Belgium on trade, Netherlands off trade, Netherlands on trade. If we could just do it at that level, that would be helpful.
Yeah, and Netherlands and Luxembourg on and off. Yeah.
Luxembourg as well. Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly. So Colin, I think that's very similar to the request that we've currently got on the backlog for Sprint 3.
Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah. Just from a development perspective, it helps to minimize the level of inputs that we're making, particularly when, if you think about it in terms of the end user coming in and creating a very high level promotion and then going in and then kind of drilling down and doing a lower level promotion. You want to make sure they're absolutely clear about what they're doing, that when they input a lower level promotion, it's going to kind of change the total value for that particular customer if there's been a high-level promotion previously created for it. So that's just one of the kind of technical understanding that they're going to have. That the sequence of events, it really needs to start at the top. That national promotion has to be created first, because if you go down and create something at the lower level and then you go back up to the top, you can lose sight of where your input's being made and the total value, because the lower end user, that sales user or that manager who's in there will not have access and be able to see that higher level potentially. Okay. Does that make sense about why that could be confusing? What? Okay. But yeah, so we'll take it away for Sprint 3 and talk about that a little bit more in detail. Okay. Okay. So that takes us through the promotions. Unless Jeremy, do you have any comments on this?
No, not for now.
Nothing? Okay. So in terms of levels, it makes sense. So right now we're inputting this at the brand pack and the planning account level, okay, which is similar to our trade terms. So what we can do, I think this one will take a little less time because it is very similar to what we've done previously, okay? So the layout of this screen for your trade terms is very similar. You will have a drop down for all of your customers here. In your products, in your time, okay? So what you would do in a very similar way, you would come in here and you would actually create your trade term. You would scroll down and identify the same or different customer, okay? You would pull that over, just hit OK, all right? And then you can either, you could copy the trade term or modify it, but this is, see if I have it down here. There we go. Good. Okay. So here is my trade term here. So I can go ahead and input a name. So let's call this growth trade term. There we go. Okay. I would also identify the activity type as I did before. Identify if it's on or off invoice there. Okay. Enter in my to and from for this particular one, and I can just change the date. Maybe obviously the trade term will be quite a bit longer here. So what I could do potentially is change this through, let's say, end of March for 2016. Okay, I would select my IO code from here. All right, invoice number can be entered, and then I would also have the same mechanics that I had previously. So I can just go ahead and keep this as per EU, okay, or a lump sum, whatever you might need. Okay, let's do what would be easiest here. Yeah. Okay. I'm seeing that it's not turning blue, which it should be. So I will just make a note of that real quick. And essentially, what will happen? What's that?
It needs to turn blue because you need to put in a lump sum amount.
Oh, yeah.
Or a rate absolute amount.
A rate. Okay. There we go. Thanks, Greg. Okay. So I'll just put in like 5 or something like that. Okay. Sorry about that. So what I'll do is go ahead and put in 5 there. And that will apply to the volume. So when you've input volume for this product and customer, I haven't selected the products yet, but that volume from your volume planning screen, which is back here. So the volume from this screen will get pulled into your trade term, and your trade term will essentially apply to that volume in product combination here. So
it would be like applying a €5 or whatever is in local currency per EU. So that's the discount that you'd be given for each one amount of volume for that.
I'll allocate that.
Yep. You're going to search for growth trade term there on the right. You can just search right there.
Head to it with that word. Growth trade term.
Yep.
Okay. should it be in the dollars?
So there theoretically could, this might be in one of them that doesn't have volume.
More to the right because it's end of, no? No.
Should be, no, it should be
F16.
F16.
More to the right.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be there.
No, it is. It is. Yeah. Thanks, Audrey. Okay. Yeah. So our volume that is from the volume planning screen is being applied to that.
Yep.
To that discount.
So if you change your rate absolute there to 4, you're going to see it's going to update on the right accordingly based on that volume.
Okay. Do you have to allocate it back down? Or?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Should change actually.
Yeah.
Earlier.
Okay.
I think, well, actually that would just change. So if you flip from volume to dollar impact. So that's the volume that's there, and then the dollar impact is right here, and then if you did, so that's just going to drive your, sorry, I think there's another one.
So if you change this,
Yep.
sorry then.
So basically it's taking your volume of 5,317 that is relevant for that time period, and then it's taking it times that 5 or 4, and you can see the dollar impact updates there on the right. So you can actually filter on your display to see what that means from a volume and a dollar standpoint.
Great. Did that make sense, Audrey?
Yes, completely.
Okay. Great. Any kind of feedback on layout? I know it's quite similar to the promotion creation, but any feedback on this?
Just a layout question. The 3 buttons in the middle. Couldn't we a little bit somewhere else that we see more of the right screen?
Right screen.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's good feedback. We were trying to decide how we wanted to arrange this so that you knew that after you input all your text on the left, your next step then is to click and assign products, and then you need to allocate it to P7. Essentially, we could move those to the top, and you would see more of your display on the right, but we didn't want you to forget about selecting your products.
Yeah.
So I guess your feedback there is definitely, we're all ears for what you guys like. Another feature in Anaplan, Colin, if you click on the triangle there of that display module, you can click right there and go to maximize. And now what happens is you actually maximize your entire screen for that specific module, and you can see more of what you're zoning in on and trying to see. Then you can click restore, and you can restore it back, and it goes just to the small part of your screen that you're looking for.
Maybe it's possible to have the title TTC3 input red until they have put until they have selected the select products assigned products P6. So that we know.
Okay.
That's very good feedback. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think we can do that, and then we'll try to describe that a little bit more in our documentation so that it's up on the top.
Yeah, because if you don't select the products, then it won't, it obviously won't allocate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other thoughts on that?
Elaborate a little on the P&L comparison that's at the top of the screen, please.
Yeah. So this volume here for a trade term, that's coming directly from the volume planning screen back here. Over here. So let's see, the 63,566, 63,566. So the numbers tie to one another, and it comes from this value right down here. So it's your full year value because currently we have the full year selected. And obviously, if you change this to a month, then the R&O will, the P&L will change to the month. So if I select July here, I'll see just July. And then these numbers just look very, your gross profit and your cap are very, very small right now because we haven't finalized our pricing data in there yet. So the numbers look kind of crazy at the moment, but the calculations are actually correct as far as we can tell. So we know that we'll be validating that as part of Sprint 3. Okay. Yeah. So in this particular screen, there isn't a change to this R&O. In this screen here in the trade term, there will not be an impact to volume. So no matter what you do down here, you aren't inputting volume, right? So that number's not going to change here for the trade terms, but it does change here, right? So if you're creating a promotion and this promotion is increasing volume, then your R&O will increase because that volume flows back through to the volume planning screen into this line item, which therefore feeds your R&O, which then connects to your P&L up there. It's a lot of steps, but does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Okay, great. Back on the trade terms, Germany, any comments on layout, anything like that?
So I went ahead and moved the buttons as you requested, and that was the other view that we were looking at. So you'd be able to see more of that display.
Yeah. In terms of the end user experience, does this look a little cleaner to you guys?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Better.
Two tiny questions here. Maybe I just missed that before. But
sure.
What happens if you insert something on lump sums? Regarding to what it will be allocated then, according to which measure?
Very good. So lump sum basically gets applied based on prior year values. So if you enter 10,000 over 3 months, it would theoretically allocate that out based on the number of days in the month that you have picked from in year 2. And then it gets pushed down to your products based on prior year data.
Based on prior year data, okay. Okay, well, just to know it, but based on NSV or based on NIT, on what?
On volume.
Volume, okay. Okay, would this be somehow possible to choose this, or?
Apportion it yourself.
What would you like to choose?
Well, we usually take NIT and NIT of our forecast.
Yeah. So the difficulty there is we don't have an NIT calculation at the material level. We only have NIT calculated at a P6 level. So in order to allocate your data down from a brand pack to a material, we don't have that NIT calculated there. So that was where we ran into the difficulty of that.
Is this also for GSV and NSV the case, or would this be possible?
Those would also only be by brand pack.
Okay.
And not material level.
Okay.
So that was our logic there. I know you've asked for this before, and we discussed it and tried to look into how to get that. I would be interested if more people want that to look into how you guys currently do it and how we'd be able to leverage that if that is a requirement that needs to come out.
In the Benelux, we do the same as Germany. We would normally do it on NIT, so SKU level NIT, because for example, we would for easiness we would convert lump sum in a percentage of the NIT. If it's 1%, and then add a 1% trade term on all SKUs on NIT level.
Okay.
That's how we would do it. But
it would then change most of the time, wouldn't it? If the
every month,
NIT changes.
Yeah. It's year to date, so it's automatic. It changes every time. But for forecast, we would use last year.
So essentially, we would just need to calculate NIT at level 7, and then you'd be able to you'd want to use that for everything else throughout the model for allocation instead of volume.
Well, we would prefer it, yes, in this way.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll take that as a note, as an action item.
Yes. I guess we also can live with the volumes. It's if it would be really impossible. I just wanted to be aware on what it does and what it allocates it.
Yeah.
The other thing, which is hopefully tinier, was regarding the P&L comparison that we see. Would it be? I guess, and I hope it would be possible to have some case rates there. Usually, if you insert a trade term, you want to know how the case rates are. at least it's for us like this. We usually want to see which influence it has on our NSV and our gross profit per case per EU. I guess this would be something easy, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So, Colin, do you want to pull up the P7 dashboard, or the P7 pricing? Yeah. So we don't have this end user facing yet. It's kind of more back end, but as you can see here, if you click on the blueprint, you can actually see the impact of all of these. So starting off with the YPRI that comes from SAP. After increases that we discussed in Sprint 1, then you'd be able to see the impact for primary freight, VAT, duty, secondary freight, and there's a line there for trade terms. So once we publish this, you're going to be able to see by month and get an end user dashboard for it. You're going to see by month the impact that your trade terms have on your base price. Is that what you're looking for?
Not well. I'm not sure. If you could please go back to the screen which we have seen before.
Yep.
Just the calculation from gross profit divided by the volume above.
Yes, indeed. I was looking for something much easier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I follow you. Yes, that is very possible. We just don't want to make sure that we expand too much here. So if we could get everyone to align on maybe like an additional 2 potentially, that'd be great.
That is a lot easier.
And the calculation you were requesting again is what exactly?
No, well, we look most of the time at NSV divided through volume. One of the most important measures. And if gross profit divided through volumes or the gross margin would be as well possible, it would be nice to have, but NSV divided through volume would be the most important.
Okay, and is this something that you want to look at in this screen? Because we will be doing like a P&L analysis kind of report module that will not be on this screen. Is this a metric that you would want to have available to you as you're creating promotions?
If it would not be difficult to have it, then it would be nice, I guess, but please ask also the other countries.
Okay. NSV. Audrey, something similar for you as well?
Yeah.
The NSV in volume and gross margin?
Yeah, it's quite useful. I see that there is a space more like until the time zone. So NSV per case, so the NSV divided by volume is one that we look a lot. And then the gross margin percentage, which is the gross profit in your field divided by the NSV in a percentage. That's also one that we check a lot.
Okay. So I think we get those.
It is nice when somebody is inputting promotion that he sees his impact on his total P&L. That's quite good.
Certainly.
To improve the awareness of the account managers.
Definitely. Okay. Sounds like Greg already did it. That's the beauty of Anaplan. So maybe I can, I don't know, let's see. Is it actually published? Okay. Cool. Yeah. At least you can see it there. You can't see the numbers. You can't see the numbers calculating, unfortunately. But anyway, we will have that ready for the Sprint 3. Okay. All right. So this has taken us through from our volume planning here back through our trade terms and our trade promotions. And just as you can see back in this screen, you can see in February the volume from that trade promotion is sitting back in your volume planning screen, so you can see it if you need to go back and forth between volume planning and promotion creation. Which is great. I kind of wish we would have had further discussion with more countries on the line, but this takes us through our work for Sprint 2. As we go into Sprint 3, I think we'll probably talk about that in just a bit. But some of the pieces that we didn't get to during this sprint will be worked on in Sprint 3. Really, I think from a development perspective in Sprint 3, we're really going to have to lock down and finalize all of the input levels that we've had so far. So this whole discussion around what level that if it's the channel level that we have additional inputs for promotion and trade terms, we'll be locking that down in Sprint 3.
So, Colin, we can probably look at the high-level scope
That'd be, yeah, perfect.
deck. So if you can
pass it back.
Yeah.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, great. And then I share my screen.
I have a small question for Colin.
Yep.
How will new products, for when you do a plan for 12 to 18 months, how will it be possible to introduce new products that don't exist yet in SAP?
That is a good question.
So let's take that as a backlog for Sprint 3. It's pretty simple to do in the tool. It just depends on how you guys want to handle it from a process standpoint, whether that's something that's owned by GDBS where you request it from them, or whether you can just click a button and add it in there.
Yeah, there will be some governance around that, Audrey. And what we have, what we aligned to, at least in Sprint 1, was that they would not be available unless they were active in SAP. I understand the need, though, if we do go to this 18-month rolling, that you're going to want to see those products in the system. From an Anaplan perspective, they're easy to add, but we'd obviously need to have that same product available for all the countries. And there's some governance around that. So we'll have to get back to you on that question.
Perfect. Yeah. And could we then also discuss during the weekly meetings the descriptions of some lines in the Anaplan? Because I suppose that's also quite flexible with the countries. For example, just a small example, the NSV volume that you just put in. I think for the almost all the countries in Europe, we would call it NSV per equivalent unit, so NSV divided EU, and things like that. Sure. It would be easier to use for everybody, but I suppose that's good to discuss when all the countries are there.
Definitely. Okay. I'll take that one as well. Just made a note of it. Okay. Great. I'm not sure what attendance will be on Tuesday as well, but as soon as we have like a good group or a sizable group, then we will we'll talk through all of these topics. Okay.
Yep. We could probably go high level the Sprint 3 scope, Spectre scope, Colin. Okay with you?
Please. Yep.
Oh, go ahead. If you can. Kind of
okay. Okay. So Sprint 3 overview. We've gone through and we have items from Sprint 2 that we identified that will be moved into Sprint 3. So if you look over to the right there, one of the big topics for this one will be user profiles. So we will be gathering requirements for you for the different type of users that you have, okay? So what this means in terms of Anaplan is that when a user logs into Anaplan, what you saw on my screen was just about everything, okay? What we want to do is organize that into profiles so that, for example, when you have a marketing user comes in and only has access to very specific dashboards and very specific hierarchies. So that user profile is used to so that when they log in the system, they have what's called a landing page, and they can go to that landing page and then select any other dashboards that they need. In addition to the user profile, such as like marketing or finance, the individual users will also have access to certain levels of the hierarchy. So what we will need to do is give you a template, and you will complete that template for us essentially, and then we will get those users into Anaplan and begin to create the foundation of the user access, okay? We will also be loading in the year-to-date actuals, so we'll be continuing all the actual load process. As you can see in the P&L, it didn't look clean. The calculations are there, but we need to finalize the data. We also will need to load in the balance of year volume forecast and the balance of year spend forecast, which Avril has been working very, very hard on. There will be a template for that as well that will be sent out that we'll need to have you complete. If she hasn't contacted you already, she will soon. We will also be doing the forecast reporting. So off of all the P&L comparisons that you need, not just in your volume planning screen and your trade promotion screen, but all of the additional metrics that you want included. We'll be gathering requirements on all of those. We will also be going through the plan approval, okay? So as we were talking about before, where there are potential mistakes or where there is review needed, we'll be setting up approvals for both the volume forecast and the spend forecast. So that those plans are finalized and we minimize any kind of error that has been input into the system. We'll also be doing volume and spend reporting. So like we talked about, where you could group specific activities or programs, right? So if you have like a Christmas program, you can review and report off of those specific programs as a group. And we'll be doing that for the volume plan as well. So any kind of metrics that you need to see beyond what's in the volume planning screen, we will be gathering those as well. And then we will be working on the channel plan, which Tori and the group were just discussing. So we're going to want to finalize what that looks like and what it takes to develop the AOP. We're 90% there on the AOP, but there are differences in terms of scenario planning. So we'll be adding scenarios to that functionality as well. So it's going to have a little bit slightly different feel to it, but the calculation and the user experience will be very similar. Okay. From a technical perspective, we'll be continuing our work with the integration with BPM for master data and an actual feed into Anaplan. We really want to minimize the amount of manual work that users have to input into the system. So it's very critical for us to get the actual feed into Anaplan. And then at the end of the sprint, we'll be kind of going into a warranty and BAU definition. Which will occur after cutover. So during cutover, we'll have to finalize all of our data. We'll need to do data validation and have users in the system, okay? So there will be quite a bit of testing involved in Sprint 3 along with data validation, okay? We'll be setting you up with user profiles so that you can go into the system as specific users and test out the view, test out the functionality. So it's going to be quite a bit more hands-on for Sprint 3 than we have been in Sprint 2, okay? Just to set some expectations there.
Yep. Just a couple of comments there, Colin. So we have already started to define the deployment plan for commercial planning. So we've been defining the assumptions, high-level principles, and the approach and the phases we're going to go through. So we're talking about basically, user acceptance test and data load, as Colin is making reference to, validations and cutovers and trainings and things like that. So over the first couple of weeks of January, we will be sharing the end-to-end plan with the countries, the dates, and also the what we need from them, basically in terms of resources, in terms of availability and things like that. Okay. So we just go through the next slide, which is really the last one. This is basically a high-level plan that we have. So as you can see, we'll start Sprint 3 around the middle of January, and we're planning to finish that by first week of Feb, and then we'll start the deployment phase. And as I said, we'll be sharing with you during the first weeks of Jan. What does that mean? What are the activities during that deployment phase? You know, when the UAT is going to be run, when we need the data from you, when data is going to be loaded, when training is going to be happening, and all that good stuff. Okay. So we are basically planning to move live with commercial planning by the end of March. That's kind of the plan where we have at the moment. Okay. So guys, any questions around either high-level scope for Sprint 3 or high-level plan that we have at the moment? No? Okay. Very good. So I think we can close the call. I don't know, Colin, is there anything from you or Greg to say?
I guess my only comment is thank you for the feedback today. I'm a little concerned, Javier, that we didn't have like a quorum of users here.
Yeah.
I think the two groups on the phone have been extremely good and thorough with their feedback, which I greatly appreciate it. It makes our job a lot easier to kind of tackle things. I'm just a little concerned about the lack of attendance. Rasmus did reach out to me, and he scheduled something with me personally on Tuesday, in which I will take him through. But beyond that, I haven't gotten any other kind of plans to meet with the other groups.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is...
Yep.
Go on, Javier. Sorry, I was going to come up with a suggestion, but Javier's got this one.
Yeah. No, just a minor comment there. So this session is being recorded, so what we're going to do is we're going to share this with the rest of the countries and ask them to go through this. And hopefully next design forum, which is next Tuesday, I believe, they will be able to share their comments. I mean, that would be kind of a plan B.
Okay.
Based on this lack of attendance. Yeah, it could be an idea. Okay. So sorry, Tori, go ahead.
No, I think yours was a much better suggestion. I was going to say maybe we should actually just put in something for a couple of hours at the beginning of January when we're all back, just to maybe just do a bit of a recap. Where are we? A bit of a quick overview on some of the bits that maybe some of the kind of key bits that you covered today, or some of the changes, just to kind of get everyone back onto the same page in the new year. I don't know if that would be helpful. Maybe that's what we use the first week of the design forum for.
I think that's a great idea, Tori. I just think this is going to be a long break, and people need to be fresh with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
So maybe we extend the design forum on that first Tuesday to 2 hours. What is it? It's in for 2 hours anyway, isn't it? Yeah, maybe that's just what we...
And maybe do a very short version of this, and then jump right into the topics that you and Audrey identified. I mostly would like to get feedback on the kind of what we might call this channel level promotion, and then the allocation for that. I think that's the biggest question, and then we can jump through the rest of the questions that were presented here today and throw them to the group, and focus on those to start with.
Okay. Okay, very good. A great session, Colin. Thank you very much, and thank you, everyone. And hopefully we'll speak next year, if not earlier. So have a great Christmas, everyone. Yeah.
Have a great Christmas, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.